What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another what to buy on eBay video. I've got vintage Kenner items, some Spanish figures. I've got a couple of comic books and a lot of vintage collection, actually, that I think were worth at least showing to you guys. And because this market is so weird right now, I hesitate putting anything that's buy it now. Almost all of these are auctions, but I did pick a few buy it nows that I think are close enough in terms of fair market value that maybe you can watch them and add it to your watch list, and maybe they make you an offer that's kind of maybe just slightly lower. So just keep that in mind, that the market is a little weird right now, and I'm a little scared. I just don't want you guys to overpay for anything and then come back to me 2 months from now and say, hey, this thing's now like 30% less. Well, that's just the way the market is right now. It's just a weird market and hard to kind of predict where stuff is going to sell. Although I've always been bad at that anyway. But let's go ahead and dig right in. And the first one we've got is a buy it now. And this one is an Obi-Wan Kenobi graded UKG 85. And it's 115 pounds, which is 147 US dollars. This is the gray-haired No COO. So this would be like a Palatoy version with the mascara eyes, which a lot of those gray-haired Obi-Wans that were No COO, how they come. Now, keep in mind that thumb has a little bit of a scratch on it, so maybe that takes away a little bit of the display ability. The paint score is an 80%. The sub score of paint is 80%. So I think it appropriately discounts that. They still gave it the overall 85, which may be a little high, but I don't know. Otherwise, it looks pretty much perfect. And, you know, it's a harder to find No COO. And especially for a lot of these UKG graded, loose graded figures, a lot of these are geared towards my folks in the UK and in Europe, where the shipping is going to be a lot less. But even here to the US, the shipping on this one's $25, so it's not terrible. So you're talking for us in the US, $175 to ship it, which is not a terrible price for a UKG 85% No COO. The No COO is definitely a little bit harder to find than the Hong Kong. Next up, Vaults of Yavin, who is always a seller on eBay that we cover at length in my loose graded market updates. And he's got some beautiful figures that are not like super high in terms of the grading score, but they're high enough that I think they're worth keeping on your radar. And the first one is a brown hair and belt Hong Kong Princess Leia. Beautiful AFA 80 example, new case style. And it's got 5 days and 6 hours left as of the making of this video. It ends Sunday evening in the US. So this one's at $227.50 right now. I'm guessing this one sells for 300-ish. I don't know, maybe 325-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. But that's a pretty nice looking example for the brown hair and belt Hong Kong Princess Leia. He also has the three-legged R2-D2 Droid Factory AFA 75. And the reason I point this one out is because, number one, it's at auction. But number two is that, you know, it's not the highest grade in the world. A 75 is not super high, but it's high enough because the three-legged, you know, Droid Factory R2-D2 is pretty expensive as a variant. AFA 85s can set you back $800 or more, believe it or not. At least that's what I remember the last AFA 85 selling for. But this AFA 75 is at $117.50. I bet it goes for less than $300. Maybe I'm wrong, but that to me seems like a high price, or you know, the ceiling that I would pay for an AFA 75. It might even go lower than that, though. I mean, you know, in this market, who knows? He also has an AFA 80 Taiwan light pants blonde-haired Luke Farmboy. This one's at $196.50, and again, all three of those in Sunday evening around 8:48 Eastern time. But this one's another nice looking figure. The Taiwan's maybe a little harder to find than the Hong Kong. And that one's again at $196.50 with a little over 5 days left. Here is a buy it now situation that's over in the UK. And this is the brown haired Luke Farmboy Hong Kong. So GMFGI Hong Kong brown hair. And I found that one to be a little tricky to find. AFA 80s can set you back, you know, I'd say $350 to $400 pretty easily. And this one's listed for $250 in terms of pounds, which is 320 US. It's another $44 because of the global shipping program. But if you're in the UK, that's not a bad figure. And there's 31 watchers on it. So it's got to be pretty close to market value, I think. That's just a tough variant to track down, the Hong Kong brown hair. There's a dark brown hair that's even more difficult to track down and a lot more expensive. But just the standard kind of chocolate brown hair, lighter brown, you know, it's not like the super dark brown hair. It's just like the regular brown-haired Hong Kong. So I think it's got to be pretty close because there are 31 watchers on that one. Brand new K-Style UKG 80. Next up, Cashel Retro Trader, who I've bought from in the past. He does watch the channel. He's not sponsoring this or anything like that. I'm just picking these items out because I think they're beautiful figures, and I've had good experiences buying from him. So, again, he's not a channel sponsor or anything. I'm not being paid to shill for him, okay? Let me tell you. But he's got some beautiful PBP Trilogo Boba Fetts, and they are stunningly gorgeous. This one is the Painted Knee, Unpainted Dart. This one is a UKG 85%, No COO Scar. And so this is like the Spanish PBP that appear on like the Trilogo, Palatoy Trilogos. 545 pounds, which is $700 US. There's 15 watchers on that one. I think it's maybe a little high, but not too much. I mean, it's probably 500 to 525 in terms of pounds pretty easily, even in an auction. And these figures are gorgeous. I mean, you got a little bit of scratching or scuffing on the helmet visor, but the paint on the belt and everything is just gorgeous. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful figure. And in my opinion, probably worth every penny. And this is also the bitone belt, which is always a lot tougher to track down. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the legs by the belt, it's a lighter brown versus the actual torso piece that has the dark brown. So this is another variant for the Spanish PBP. There's like 4 or 5 different variants between the painted knee, unpainted knee, painted dart, unpainted dart, and then the different belt colors. And one of those is the bitone belt, which is, in my opinion, the toughest one to track down. So beautiful figure and probably worth every penny. I've got to be honest with you. Next up, he's also got a UKG 85%. This one is the unpainted knee, unpainted belt. And the unpainted knee is usually a little tougher to find. This has got the dark brown belt. So you can see, if you compare that belt color versus this belt color, you can see where that one's bitone versus this one's uniform for both the legs and the actual torso piece. Anyway, that one's at 565 in terms of pounds. That's 724 US dollars. I got to be honest with you. If I was on the market right now for a Trilogo Boba Fett, I'd probably pay those prices as is, but there's 8 watchers on this one. I expect that one to sell for maybe, 530, 540, somewhere in that ballpark. Next up is a UKG 80% Stormtrooper Hong Kong. It's got an 85% for the paint score. This one's a beautiful figure, though. Look how beautiful and white that figure is. Just a little bit of pink to the limbs, which is common. But overall, that's a beautiful figure. For 109 pounds, that's 140 US dollars. That to me is worth every penny of that price. That's a good buy there, especially if you're in the UK and can avoid the the higher shipping costs. Next up, I do have a couple of comics, not a lot, just 2, I think. This one is a Star Wars number 4. So this is the adaptation of the original A New Hope movie. And one of my favorite covers. This is actually probably my preferred cover versus Star Wars number 1, believe it or not. I actually love this cover more. Beautiful, beautiful cover. He's got Darth Vader kind of menacing over Obi-Wan, Luke, and Leia. And this one, again, is The Death of Obi-Wan Kenobi from 1977. It's at auction, 5 days, 7 hours left. It's $400 right now. So when I include comics now, I try to do auctions because the comic market is down and going further south, in my opinion. But that's a beautiful book, 9.8 white pages. And right now it's at $400. And then the only other one I wanted to point out that will probably go very, very inexpensively is the direct edition for Shadows of the Empire number 1. This is a Dark Horse Comics from 1996. The first appearance of Prince Zizor, as well as the first cameo appearance of Dash Rendar. Awesome cover. And I think that Zizor will make an appearance at some point in Disney Plus content. And it's a great book. I mean, I've got 3 of them in a 9.8. I've got 2 directs and 1 newsstand. So I love this book. I just love the cover. And I remember reading it in high school, I guess, or college. But pretty awesome cover. And it's at $9.99, one bid. And this one ends on Monday evening. And I bet it goes for less than $150. But if you can pick it up for $150 or under, maybe $125 even and under, you're probably doing pretty well with that book. Next up, let's get into some vintage collection items for sale. This is an unpunched VC64 Return of the Jedi with the prototype Fett offer. So this is the retail release with the paperwork inside the blister, unpunched, US card, beautiful condition. It's at $200 right now. It ends Sunday afternoon at roughly 2:51 p.m. Eastern time. So that's a beautiful example, though, really clean. It'll probably sell for, I don't know, $350-ish, $400 maybe. Maybe not that high, but here's an uncirculated 9.25 Barris Offee, original TVC 1.0, unpunched with the Darth Maul offer. US card. It does have that kind of clear view label up top, but it's an uncirculated 9.25 gold label. And right now it's at a 102.50. That one ends Sunday night as well. So a couple of good options there. Here is a 9.0 graded Republic Trooper. This is the original issue, not the reissue. Unpunched US card. Pretty gorgeous example. There's no bids on it yet, and it's at $99.95 with $19 shipping. So it'll probably sell, but I don't know what price. But it is a 9.0 grade. And this is that power droid seller that always has really nice high grade AFA examples for the TVC 1.0. So if you're looking for the original issue Republic Trooper from the expanded universe, that one again is at $99.95 with no bids yet. And I'll put the item numbers in the video description. I forgot last time, I apologize, but I'll remember this time and put the item numbers for all of these items in the video description. Next up, here's an interesting one. Jeremy Bullock autographed VC P03, I think is the VC number. VC P03, so the rocket firing mail away Fett, signed by Jeremy Bullock, and it's at auction. $85 right now with 6 days and 7 hours left as of the making of this video. It ends Monday night. But tough to get those. You know, Jeremy Bullock usually will sign like the Power of the Force line or something like that, or Power of the Force 2 line, but to get the TVC signed is a little tougher, and that's a really awesome item. It looks to be in pretty great shape as well. So that one's at $85, and again, it ends Monday evening. Here is a holy grail for you TVC collectors. This is Jar Jar Binks in Carbonite, unpunched. Looks to be in great shape, and it's at auction. 5 days, 6 hours left. It ends Sunday evening. Right now, it's at $330, but that is a pretty beautiful example of the Jar Jar in Carbonite at auction right now. And again, it's at $330. Next up, we've got a 20-back Jawa, unpunched, and the blister looks like it's that angled blister that you see on some of the 20-backs for the Jawa. Looks to be really, really clean condition, and that one's at $242.50. That one ends Saturday evening. So if you're looking for a beautiful Jawa on the, free Boba Fett offer, 20 backs, that is a nice one. That one's a really clean one. It looks like it would grade very high. Next up, we've got an AFA 85 Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, and this one is the Taiwan variant. So AFA 85, new case style. That one's at auction, and it ends Sunday morning. So, usually when these auctions end at weird times, this one ends at 9:33 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:33 a.m. Central Time. Usually those go for a good deal because people forget about them, or they're still hungover from going out and getting blasted on Saturday night. Maybe they're at church, who knows. But usually when stuff ends at weird times like that, they go for a good deal. So that Jedi Knight AFA 85 is at $200, one bid, $20 shipping. I don't know. You can't go too much higher, right? I mean, I would think $250 max for that. It seems like Luke Jedi Knight's AFA 85 for the common variants like the Taiwan, they've come down a little bit. It seems like it to me anyway. So anyway, that one's at $200 plus $20 shipping. I'm guessing max $250. That's what I would pay. Next up is a Yak Face UKG 85%. This is another Cash El Retro Trader. And UKG 85% Yak Face. It's at 535 pounds, which is $685 US. Smidge high to me. Not too high though. It's not too far off. It's got 21 watchers, so I bet it'll sell. AFA 85 sell, what, $800 now? $850. Yak Faces have not gone down in value with some of the other items that have gone down. Now, this one does have a slight scratch on the hand there, you can see. The boots look to be in good shape, though, and so he's got scratches on both hands. So probably a smidge overgraded, but I would probably pay up to 500 pounds for that one. Let's see. Next up, we've got a UKG 85% A-Wing. And now I did receive an offer from this seller. It's listed at 280 pounds. I received an offer for 255 pounds for that one. So maybe put it on your watch list and see if you get that same offer. There's 6 watchers on it. There was a CAS 85 Plus that sold for $575 US recently. This one's a UKG 85 and it's at $358. That's without the discount. So, the best offer is $255. So I think that's a pretty good price. New case style as well. Next up, I've got a couple of high-end items. It's not a high grade, but it's a high-end item. It's a mint-on-card Boba Fett on the 32-back, AFA 30. The card got a 20, blister 75, figure, it looks like a 60. So, You got lots of degradation going on that Boba Fett inside the blister. And the card only got a 20 score because of that bad tear to the card. There's some other veins and things like that. But if you want a mint on card Boba Fett, not a bad option. I bet it'll sell for less than $1,000. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But it's an AFA 30, so it's at $464 US, 9 days, 5 hours left on that one. And then finally, we have a Revenge of the Jedi Imperial Commander proof card. And that one is an AFA 80, and it's at $1,500. I know it's got about 13 or 14 watchers on it, but this is that same seller that's had a number of proof cards here recently. You can see a slight crease or something there on the left-hand side, maybe some scratches to it, but it's an AFA 80 Revenge of the Jedi proof card. It's hard to find pre-production vintage items, and it's at $1,500. I don't know if it sells for that. I think maybe you add it to your watch list and see if it sells. If it doesn't sell, I bet he'll drop the price to like $1,200, somewhere in that ballpark. So anyway, I hope you found something that you like. Happy toy hunting, and I will talk to you soon.